Hello, this is Liz Lawless, your host for Wild West Diversity, where we tell the rarely and untold stories of multicultural contributions to the settling of the American Wild West. Each Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, we'll be sharing a historical legend and a living legend. Someone from history and someone living that Western lifestyle today, keeping it alive for the future generation. We hope you'll join us on Thursday. If not, we'll see you on the trail. Hello, this is Liz Lawless, your host for Wild West Diversity. And today, this is episode 24. And so I wanted to give you a little bit of a recap. Some of the episodes we've already done. Can't believe this episode 24. And then I'll tell you a little bit more about what's coming up here later in the next few months. So we started this live stream at the very first of the year. And so very excited to share the rarely and untold stories of multicultural contributions to the settling of the American West. And we've had some great guests on. We started off with Herb Jeffries, who was the first black singing cowboy, did the series of movies in the 1930s, The Bronze Buckaroo, Two Guns from Harlem, a few more of those. And you can check that out by going to our YouTube channel. So our YouTube channel, if you go there and subscribe, just punch on the red button. It's Wild West Diversity. You can just search Wild West Diversity, or you can go to the show notes and you can find that. And so anyway, hope you'll check those other episodes out. We've had Kevin Woodson, our rodeo announcer. We've had couple of our filmmakers, Ed Herman, Brother Ed, and also Coy Poitier. Coy, in addition, is a master gardener, and he's doing urban farming, in addition to being a wonderful musician and filmmaker, documentary award-winning filmmaker, Mr. Poitier, Coy. So I hope you'll go back and check out their episodes. Got a wonderful interview with Lap No. He's an Asian artist who lived in Africa for 30 years and then moved to Texas, retired and moved to Texas and began to paint Western art, began to paint bulls and horses and landscapes and cattle and all of that kind of stuff, blue bonnets and things. So I hope you'll go and check those out. We also have Jose Hernandez, who's not only a Tiny Tainment is his company. And although he is actually a stilt walker and a juggler and an entertainer, and he worked with the circus, and now he produces entertainment opportunities for birthdays and weddings and rodeos. He came out to one of our rodeos this year in April, and he was the hit of the show. Everybody wanted to come over and get their picture made with him. And it didn't matter if they were 9 months old or 90 years old. They wanted to they wanted to see this guy in chaps and cowboy vest and hat, and he was like 10 foot tall, because he's already about 6 foot, and then he had on 4 or 5 foot stilts. So go back and check Jose out. If you're looking at the website, at the YouTube channel, be sure you go to live. If you go to the video page, you'll just get our recorded videos, and we have done a couple of recorded videos because we've had some kind of issue. We either had a sound or a tech issue, or maybe somebody just wasn't available at 5 p.m. where we do these every Thursday at 5 p.m. We do these interviews. And so occasionally you'll find something in just the video, but you really need to go to the live if you want to see all 39, 40 episodes that we're going to have there. So we're doing episodes every week. So those are some of the past episodes. We also have the Martinez family. They are a bull contractor, a stock contractor, where they bring bulls to the rodeo. And you can hear that story from his dad, who, when he was a little boy, now wanted to have bulls. And now he's a grandfather, and he finally was able to get into the stock contracting business. And they provided some of the bulls for us at Cowboys of Color Rodeos. And we've often talked about Cowboys of Color Rodeo here, and Cleo Hearn, the founder, as most of you know that have been watching and listening, we're in the transition phase of handing off to the next generation. So we have some upcoming interviews with Harlan and great-grandson Charles Flores Hearn with Harlan Hearn. his grandfather, and then he's the great grandson of Cleo Hearn, the calf roping champion and the first African American to go to school on a rodeo scholarship and to win a national championship. So Charles is our social media director. He's helping us try to get out on some of these other places like Instagram and TikTok and places like that that I'm not quite as familiar with. I'm pretty good on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, but not so much on some of those newer platforms. So Charles is helping us there. He also wants to get in rodeo, so he's been practicing. He's been practicing some calf roping and some bareback riding. And so those will be some of the episodes that we'll have coming up here later on in the show. But I just wanted to thank everybody that's been watching our show, that's been coming in and looking, either watching us live or going back and watching the recordings. You can always see these recordings in our YouTube channel at Wild West Diversity. We also pull these episodes down and they go out to our podcast. We pull the audio as a separate thing, and that goes out to our podcast platforms. I think we have about 11 of those, but you can find that on Spreaker, on Spotify, on iHeartMedia, all of those places. All you need to do is just search my name, Liz Lawless, or search Wild West Diversity, and those podcasts should come up. If you're a podcast listener and you have to be working out or driving, or if you've got a commute to work and you want to listen to some great shows, we have a lot of fabulous shows you can listen to. We talk about the historical characters, our Buffalo soldiers that lived in the 1800s, Benjamin Brown, Isaiah Mays, Henry Flipper, who was the first African American to go to the military, to West Point. And so a lot of those people there. We've talked about Kathy Williams, the only female Buffalo soldier who went in and signed up as Williams Kathy, because she knew when they called her Private Kathy, she'd be able to answer. She didn't want to give a different name and then somebody call her by that name and her not realize it was her. And so anyway, she served for 2 years before they kind of got nervous. Her cousins and they were the only ones that knew she was there serving. And there were beginning to be rumors and some other things about her or the possibility of a woman serving. And so her cousins convinced her to pretend to have an illness. And she did have some illness, some problems with her feet, because she was in the infantry. And they did have to walk, and they were in sand and boots, and they didn't have the best shoes and things like we have today. This was the 1880s. And so she did end up having some foot issues and some other stuff, but she went saying that she had some heart problems. But because she was a black soldier, and they had white doctors, of course, they didn't want to go see the black soldiers. So she was in the infirmary for weeks before, and nobody ever came to see her. So she finally pretended to have a heart attack, and they called the doctor in, and he figured out she was a woman, not a man. And they had her muster out. So, these are great stories. These are living historical legends. And then we're talking to these living legends, these people keeping this Western lifestyle alive today in all these diverse ways. Like you say, we have a wonderful interview with the Wild Bill Western Wear and his son Lance, who has a Sidekick wallet that we're giving away. And so if you sign up on our YouTube channel, you subscribe. If you subscribe to our Wild West Diversity e-newsletter at wildwestdiversity.com, we're going to do giveaways each month on those platforms. So we can pull the names, we can see who's signing up. And so we're going in and giving away certain things. Next year in 2023, we'll probably start giving away some rodeo tickets and some things like that. We'll have some t-shirts. We obviously have some books, as you can see behind us. Shameless plug for our Wild West Diversity publication, African Americans, Living Legends Yesterday. So that's a series of 16 stories about these people that lived in the 1800s. And so, like you say, we've got a Herb story there. We got Isaiah Mays. We got Johanna July, who trained horses for the military as a woman. Very unusual during that time period. Also, Henrietta Foster Williams, who went on cattle drives with men and bought property. Another very unusual thing that rarely happened. White women couldn't even buy property, much less Black and Hispanic women. So she is certainly a legend during her time in the coastal bend of Texas. And so Bass Reeves, you're going to be seeing some maybe new movies. I know there's a number of movies now that Yellowstone has done so well, and the 1873 or whatever the prequel is to Yellowstone. They've got a number of other shows that are going to be going on. I don't know if they're going to be made for TV movies or they're going to actually be television series. But now with all these new things like Netflix and Amazon and Prime and all these things, they're all looking for content. And so I've heard that there's a Marshall Bass Reeves thing in production, and that's going to be coming out next year. So we'll see. Be watching for all those things, and we'll be sharing that kind of information with you here on our channel, the new stuff as well as the historical stuff that you need to know, because these are stories that aren't in your textbooks. These are not stories that you're going to hear in your elementary, your middle school, or your high school. So if you're a parent and you've got children in any of those grades, pre-K through 12th grade, they're not going to hear these stories. And so we need to understand what other cultures did and how they participated, and not just get one viewpoint. We're sharing these multiple viewpoints of people, their historical lives as well, and then the people keeping that lifestyle alive. So, Europeans participated, African Americans participated, certainly Native Americans and Hispanic Americans, Mexican Americans participated in the settling of the American West once people got west of the Mississippi, because this was all territory. Back in the 1800s, this was all territory. These were not states. Texas was not a state. Oklahoma was not a state. When the Buffalo Soldiers were serving, they were on the frontier basically, and they were helping move people across. They were helping pioneers. They were protecting pioneers from bandits and outlaws and Indian raids. All those kinds of things were going on during this time. And so, but all of these cultures participated. It was after the Civil War, so a lot of African Americans moved west looking for a better life. Just like today, people are concerned with creating a better life for themselves and their families. And that's what these guys were doing. And a few women, as you'll see, and probably a lot more women than we know about for sure. But they came west seeking a better life, seeking more opportunities, seeking maybe a peaceful place to be. Once you served in the military, you got land. So a lot of those Buffalo Soldiers, those African American men, were quite willing to put on a uniform to serve a country where they had been living, even though they had been in slavery before. Now they were free, and they wanted to show their allegiance to the country and to a proud heritage. And so, and then, like you say, they got land. So, not saying it, it was all altruistic. Obviously, that was a good opportunity for somebody that didn't have anything. And so, those are the stories you're going to hear if you go back and watch some of these episodes. So, we hope you'll do that. Like I say, this is episode 24, and we hope to be, at about episode 40 or 44, or 46 or something like that by the end of the year. Obviously, taking off a couple of days. We're probably not going to do Thanksgiving. We may do a short thing for Thanksgiving. We want to obviously create that, and thank all of our members and our viewers and our listeners for participating with us and supporting us. Same thing with Christmas. Those things usually fall on a Thursday. And so since we are here every Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, we just, we'll probably just do a short holiday message during those times. We won't actually have an interview with anybody. But like you say, go see those other interviews, those first 23 interviews. You can find those on our YouTube channel. When we actually go live here at 5 on Thursdays, you can watch for 24 hours on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. So you have that opportunity if you're a Facebook person or LinkedIn is kind of your platform of choice. We're on those platforms too. And so you can go there when we're live. After it's live, you're going to have to go and listen to the recordings. And so you do have to go to YouTube for that. But we hope you'll check us out there. We hope you'll go to wildwestdiversity.com and put in your email. You can choose none, or if you really want to support our Western history and these programs that we do for free, you can basically do a subscription. So there's a monthly subscription there, and there's an annual subscription. And we actually have a couple of founding member subscriptions available too. Obviously, that's a higher level commitment or investment. And but if you really love Western history and you hate that so many people don't know this history and you want to help us spread the word, that would be a great way to do that. And we appreciate that very much. So coming up, what do we have coming up here? So in the next few weeks, we'll be talking with some folks like Terry Allen. Terry has a thing called Ride'em He's an African-American that created a clothing line. And he was in Texas for a while and then in California. And now they've moved up to Oregon and they've built a store up there. And they actually have a big open area out behind the store, and they put on concerts and they have comedy acts and they have their clothing line. And now he's got some kids coming up, and the kids are creating their own brands and clothing lines. So we hope you'll go check them out. It's Ride'em Wear, RIDEMWEAR.com. You can find them there. His name is A. Terry Wells, TERRY. WELLS. You can find him on Facebook and Instagram, Facebook mostly, I think. But check out Terry's stuff, see what he's doing. He's always got some positive to say. You'll be getting to hear from, like you say, some of our other. Charles is going to be doing the Man on the Ranch kind of program for us. So he's going to be talking about, how do you catch a horse? How do you saddle a horse? How do you feed a horse? There are certain things you need to know. You can't just decide one day you want to go buy a horse and go out and buy a horse and expect to do something. I mean, it's kind of like buying a dog. When you first buy a dog, if you've never had a dog before, you need to get some instruction before you do that. And so most of us do is we go out and buy a couple of books, or we talk to somebody that's had a dog like that, what we've got. And the different breeds are different, and horses are the same way. There are different breeds of horses. One of our shows is going to be with Doug Smiley. Doug's a Tennessee walking horse trainer. Okay, so a Tennessee walking horse is different from a quarter horse. A quarter horse is what mostly are ridden in arenas for the rodeo, and so quarter horses, Appaloosas, Palominos, those kinds of horses, those are what we use for the bucking horses, sometimes Mustangs, quarter horses. Thoroughbreds are what run on racetracks. You don't see thoroughbreds in the rodeo business because it's a different kind of horse. They're bred differently. They're bred for speed and running, and a rodeo arena is not that big. So these horses are different. And if you want to buy a horse, then you need to be careful about that. You need to get some instruction, but we'll be giving you those things in our episodes. So you'll be able to go and look at those episodes and find out more about that. Another couple of things we've got some wonderful things coming up with Oba Babatunda. Oba Babatunda is an actor or producer. You're going to recognize his face if you don't know his name. He also is a horse whisperer. And so he trains horses, and he rodeoed. When he grew up in New York and was a stage actor first. He was in Dreamgirls and a number of other things. He toured with Liza Minnelli. doing shows with her. He was I guess a dancer and a singer and a part of her shows for a number of years there. And then he went out to California and became an actor, and he's done extremely well over the years. And when he was in California, he started going to the Bill Pickett rodeos because he was competing. And so he's going to talk about his journey and how a kid from New York got in the horse business. And so, and became a horse whisperer and a trainer where other people bring their problem horses to him to help train. So Owa's going to be there. Like you say, we're going to be talking to the Diaz family. They're 5, 6 generation Charo family, and they put on Mexican rodeos, and they do. Their son Nicholas is coming along now. He's about 20, and he's showing horses, and he just won a bunch of blue ribbons at a show last a couple weeks ago, and so. So we'll be talking to them about their journey in this Western lifestyle and how they're keeping their heritage alive as well. And so we hope that you'll come and check those things out. We'll be talking with some ranchers, some farmers. Cleophas Mills, he's a gentleman that's recently bought 100 acres. And he's bringing that ranch back to life. That ranch has been cast fallow, or it's been either for sale for a period of time, or it was in a family, situation where someone passed away, and they, it was in probate and court and stuff like that for a while, and then it's come out of that. And so we're going to talk about what it's like, to have stock, to farm and to ranch and to really do that job, because there are people that still do that today. Our folks that we talk to, like Cleo Hearn and Kevin, some of those guys, they've got 2 or 3 acres maybe, and that's which is kind of like a ranch. Obviously, it's a bigger ranch than you and I've got. Somebody that's in a single family home or an apartment or something like that. But they're basically rodeo cowboys, so they've got a certain number of cows and stocks and a certain number of horses, and it depends on where you're on the spectrum. At one time, Cleo had 30 horses. I don't believe he's got that many anymore, because not all the boys are riding anymore, and not all the grandkids are riding anymore. But but they've got a number of horses that they keep, and they have to go out and feed and water and take care of those horses every day. Okay, and you can't leave horses off by themselves. You have to take care of them. These are an investment. These are expensive animals. We've talked about the cost of rodeo. It can cost you $60,000, $70,000, $100,000 before you even get out of the driveway. You've got a horse that's $30,000 or $40,000. You got a truck or trailer that's another $50,000 or $60,000, or a truck. You got a trailer that's another $5,000 or $10,000. Then you got gas to go up and down the road. You got entry fees, because rodeo you have to pay to play. You're also going to hear a lot of things. We've got some audio recordings of these narrations of our historical characters. So you're going to learn about people like Jesse Stahl, who was a bareback rider, like you say, Kathy Williams, that we've talked about. There's a number of people that you're going to hear their stories. And so we hope you'll go and to our YouTube channel and check those things out. We hope that you will come and watch the episodes that we have coming up every Thursday at 5 p.m. You can support the community by going to wildwestdiversity.com. We've got a wonderful tribute to Randy Wills, who's a longtime friend, who is the cousin of Bob Wills. His grandfather and Bob Wills were cousins. And so they were the gospel Wills family. They were the gospel singing Wills family. And he grew up singing all his life. They had a television show on Channel 8, which is an ABC affiliate here in Dallas, Texas, when they were younger. And his dad had the first recording studio in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Discovered the I guess a lot of the country and western singers today that we know, and the gospel singers that we know. Randy's dad was a part of doing their very first album. So the Gatlin singing family. So they used to be the Gatlin family singers. I'm sorry. and now we know them as the Gatlin brothers. So all kinds of people that you're going to hear from, all kinds of interesting backstories that we're going to be telling as we do these interviews, as we talk to these people. Cleo Hearn, our rodeo founder, is going to be inducted into the Cowboy Museum and Hall of Fame in Oklahoma City. That's a great honor. It's the Rodeo Hall of Fame, and it's the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum is what it's actually called. But it's kind of the granddaddy of them all, if you want to call it that, kind of like Cheyenne and Calgary. So, Cheyenne's the big rodeo, the outdoor rodeo that's been around, that's every July. And so we'll be talking to that. We'll be talking with Beth Braley. You can see an interview with Beth. She is a part of the National Day of the Cowboy. She's the executive director, and she's trying to get all 50 states to celebrate a National Day of the Cowboy in July. Usually it's the third Saturday of the month, I think. And so about half the states of the United States of America have already designated that day as the national celebration, or National Day of the Cowboy as a statewide celebration, I mean. And so that's coming up. We'll have some more rodeo stuff with maybe Harlan Hearn. The rodeo will be coming up for Cowboys of Color, and we'll be talking about that transition of handing off and what it's like to grow up with a legacy. What it's like to grow up with a parent who was the first at a bunch of stuff and carry on that legacy, because that's not an easy thing. We know that a lot of celebrities and a lot of people that are famous, whether they're politicians or businessmen or musicians or whatever, sometimes the children have a harder time. It's kind of hard to live in that spotlight and then, like you say, take over that family legacy as well. So we'll be talking about all those things. We also are going to have great fun with our buddy Bubba Burton Gilliam. Those of you who are fans of Blazing Saddles, he actually was a fireman that was discovered and participated in a movie called Paper Moon with Ryan and Tatum O'Neal. And he said him and Tatum, she was a little girl at that point. They were the only ones on the set that had never been in the movies before. And so they had a scene together. He ended up being the desk clerk, and he actually had lines. He actually went down as an extra because he saw this newspaper article and he figured it might be interesting. He was off work as a fireman. It might be interesting to meet some movie people and see what was going on. And somehow they called him out of the extras and gave him this part. So he actually had a part and was nominated, I think, for the, I guess, an Academy Award for, the secondary character role. But Tatum actually won that award that year, I think. So, but he got to meet Ryan O'Neal, and he was very excited about that, and the producers and stuff. And then Mel saw him there, and they called him to come out and interview for Blazing Saddles. And as they say, the rest is history. He finally, after saying no, because they kept telling him they didn't have any money, so he kept coming home. And then they would call him and say, "What are you doing in Dallas? You're supposed to be in California." But anyway, he finally said yes, and he's had this 40-year career as an actor. A lot of movies, a lot of television shows, Evening Shade, Alice, all those wonderful shows that we watched when growing up. So I hope you'll check those things out. I hope you'll come back every Thursday and watch our live interviews at 5 Central Standard on Thursdays. We'll continue to try to bring you interesting people and interesting stories that are rarely or untold and that most people don't know about. So congratulations to Cleo Hearn. He's our man of the hour, our founder of our Cowboys of Color Rodeo. And so we appreciate him so much, and all these years, this legacy that he's left, because he was always trying to help those younger guys coming along and gals and give them an opportunity that he didn't have. As an African American, there were times when he started when he wasn't able to rope during the regular rodeos because of racism, because he was Black. And the fact of the matter is, he was so good that the other rodeo cowboys and the participants in the stand made the rodeo promoters let him ride because they asked, "Who is he?" Um, so great shows, great people, great legends. So go back and check out our historical legends. You'll find our book at Amazon here behind me. You can check that out. It's African American Western Legends Yesterday by Elizabeth Lawless and Wild West Diversity. So if you've got kids and you want them to know these stories, then you need to do that. So, well, thank you so much. This has been episode 24. We hope you'll come back and see us next week. And if you don't, we'll see you on the trail. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. Hello, this is Liz Lawless, your host for Wild West Diversity, where we tell the rarely and untold stories of multicultural contributions to the settling of the American Wild West. Each Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, we'll be sharing a historical legend and a living legend. Someone from history and someone living that Western lifestyle today, keeping it alive for the future generation. We hope you'll join us on Thursday. If not, we'll see you on the trail.